Can y'all hear me? Can you all hear? I show my face, but I just got a shower, so I'm naked. See if a couple people wanted more joining here. Quiet. Hold up. Is better? I can't tell if it's delayed. Maybe it's the bit rate. Still quiet. Give me a second here. Everything's at max volume, really. Let's see. Is it quiet for the rest of you? Maybe it's that still series garbage. How do I turn off this delay? Delay is normal. We got OBS Genius in here. Okay, settings, advance. Delay. There's no delay on. Nat, can you hear? Is it pretty clear? So everyone's saying it's quiet. Maybe it's the latency. I can't change that now unless I turn it off. It's on low latency. Should I restart and go with high latency or normal? Mic sound. All right. Well, it's a good amount of us here. Let's get started here. All right. If you have any questions, you want to go over anything specific, type it in chat. So for right now, if you can see my stream, this is what it'll somewhat look like on Monday when we stream. For our lives, should be a overlay. It'll show you when I'm in a trade, and then you should be able to see what I'm currently sitting in as a trade, what I bought in as, and what strategy it's at. So should make things a little bit easier. Maybe I'll make it flash if it's a new trade or something later on. I'm just trying to test some stuff out that might help us out. And you should be able to see what I'm currently in without everyone having to be jumping at different times asking, are you in the trade? Are you in a trade? So make things a little bit easier. All right, so let's go over a couple of things real quick. So we're looking at the VIX right now, and it is ugly, right? It is high. Friday, they really pushed it. Sorry, this is oil. We look at the VIX here. It's high, and it's ugly. It's almost at 30. And if you look back, our November lows here was only at like 28. And then we had some doom and gloom in October that pushed it as well for a little bit. Very short. So we're getting up there. And it kind of correlates to oil that we looked at because that is way high. And 92 here should be the current max here for now. We can take a look at here the history. You know, this was the last kind of support level here that we're breaking out of, and now we're headed back to 92. This is back in like 2023 that it peaked, and it fell off from the high inflation that we had in 2022, the entire year pretty much. So we can see if we hit this level, and maybe we can short oil at this point, because that'll coincide with whatever happens in Iran and with the war stuff. I mean, it's got to come to an end at some point. They don't really have a ton of resources to keep fighting, so we'll see if that goes away pretty soon. We're going to see futures open here pretty soon, and more than likely, I'm guessing we're going to hit a lot of downside for the most part, because we've already broken below lots of stuff. And if we look at SPX here on the daily, right? So this purple box is an orb, and this is an orb for the month of January. I know we talked about this a little bit with some of you, but I plan on playing this here pretty soon. And you can see that we've dropped below, and we're just in the beginning of the month of March here, right? We're on March 8th. We still got plenty of time left on this candle, so we'll let it play out, see how far it gets, and maybe we'll take an entry maybe early April or so if this really dips out, or maybe it just goes back up into the orb. We'll see. But for the most part, you know, if we look at this in terms of SPY that we traded this past week, you know, this whole range has been pretty much downish, right? This is Monday. And the trend is pretty much down for the most part. And you can see that we're finally starting to break below some levels. It's been really testing it for quite some while in the past few days that we look at, right? Look at this easier on SPX. You can see we've been testing this down level here at 67.80 for quite a while here. And it's really getting to a point where we're going to break below previous lows. Like here's December lows. We're pretty much there already. So the next area off this trend here coming from April is going to be from November when we had that dip from OpenAI stuff. And that's going to be about 65.30s or so. So we'll look for that to drop down. And hopefully it'll catch a nice bounce from there. We see about 6,500 on the weekly 50 here. About 6,600 for the 200 EMA on the daily. And let's see, for the monthly we got 66.58. So yeah, lots of little points that we can head down to that is around this same level. So, you know, anywhere in this level is fine for a bit of a pullback here before we head higher, hopefully. We'll see from there. Now let's look at this on the 4 hour, right? We traded this on Friday. We caught this downside move. And now we can probably expect to open lower just in terms of looking at the orb in terms of the 4 hour here. Right, we got the orb candle breakdown off the last in the day orb, and at this point we can look for a little bit lower opening for the most part. And if you look at Qs, we broke below 600, which is a major gamma level for Qs, and we can look for it to go lower as well. In terms of lows, we can again look at our previous December lows, which we've already passed pretty much. And around November is like 585, maybe 581 at the very lows. So we can look around there as well. Not really that far down if we measure it out. No, it's about 8.5%. So, still in pullback terms, not quite a correction. We'll see what happens. And it'll look good for our monthly orb at least, and we can see where we can go from there. Let's see. You guys have any questions so far? Margin call. You can play margin call. I'm terrified of margin call. I do see the delay going on though. Or maybe this is like way back. So with the monthly orb that we're looking to play, that in particular is going to show us that this is going to take time, right? This is a monthly orb. So right now we're just at the beginning of March, really. So if we drop some more, it's fine. I won't take puts yet. I'm going to wait till next month in April when we maybe get some type of pullback here. And then once it hits the pullback and matches the low from March, I will take puts from there. And maybe we just end up taking puts, all the way into May to play it out. We'll play a couple months out on SPX is what I plan to do, and maybe see what we can hit. It's kind of experimental. I didn't do this last year. I was watching it, and you can back test it yourself if you go back through the years, and you can see you can hit pretty good moves off of a monthly orb. Like, let's just pick a random year or something. All right, let's see. What is this? Here's January 2018. You can go back as far as you want. But here's January to, let's see, December is right here. So very muted for 2018. And we got the close. So if you bought in on April here, right? Once it matches the March lows here on the close, you'll catch, what? I don't know, a 3% down drop move. I mean, you get something out of it. Depends on what contracts you play. And here on the upside, it really did nothing. Barely got up. So this is a very flat year to test. But you can do it with any year. You can go back and test it yourself and see whether this was a reasonable strategy to use or not, right? Here's 2017. Obviously a very bullish year. You would have caught the majority of this move up if you stayed with it off this January candle here. Nice retest here in March, and then it just kind of blast off from there. Let's see, 2019. Here's the orb off 2019. Yeah, so here's a breakout, here's a retest. You would have caught a pretty nice move here from here to here. It's about 6%. That's pretty good for back then, considering it's much more volatile than it is now. All right. Let's see, any questions from you all? Yeah, monthly orb is January, and that's our range for the year. All right, and we can take a look at gold here real quick, because a lot of you are playing gold. So we look at gold on the daily level here, right? We can see that it is holding up very well considering that big move up that we had, right? We had kind of this big gross move up off of 4,000, and it's been kind of, not completely straight up. It's been zigzagging a little bit and giving us pullbacks, so that gives it a healthy market. Once it hit this area, though, this is when it became unnatural for this push up. So we had to expect some type of pullback, which it did. So this is where it broke on the natural side, and it came back down and retested it. And now we're headed back up. So we are back in a gold swing. And you can see here, it's a pretty good spot off this uptrend here, right? That this is a good spot to play it at. This is a good spot to play it at. And then anything above really is good on this level here. So I would expect gold to keep going up, especially with it being a true safe haven from Iran issues that we have at the moment and all the uncertainty that we have. And with the market supposedly dropping out for the next, I'd say Monday, Tuesday at least, we can see how far we go down from there. But that'll do nothing but push gold up. So I will look forward to that. See anything you guys want to look at in particular? I think someone said Amazon yesterday. Take a look at Amazon. So Amazon still looks pretty good. We are trapped in this range for a little bit off of 200 levels, but really I've been saying for a while now, anything off of 200s is a very good area to buy. So even if we return back there, it's not too big of a deal. My current swings might take a little dip, but I do expect it to come back up for the rest of the year. So as long as you buy enough far dated out in the contracts, you should be fine. You don't buy too far out on the strikes. But yeah, I expect Amazon to be at least maybe 250 by end of year. We can see, it was there already in the past. So, 250 should be nothing from last year. Let's look out a little bit farther. I would say 275 really is not out of the range for Amazon for 2026. Can even put a little marker here to see if it gets there. I would say off this movement looks like it's a very viable 275, maybe in 300s. Amazon. Okay, so while I wait for you guys to put in some tickers for me if this is delayed, let's see. Oh, you want to? Yeah, copper is a good one to look at right now. Copper might be at a retest point. So I was just talking to Nat a little bit ago about my copper swings. So copper here is in a very nice range of consolidation here. And this is kind of breaking down on the uptrend for a little bit, possibly. So there's a chance that maybe I need to sell out of my swings. Now, I bought swings like way back here, so they are still up 400 or 500% in this area. At peak, they were, I don't know, about 700-800%. And I sold some there, but I'm still holding majority of my contracts. So maybe I need to sell some to not be greedy here, just in case it breaks back down. Anything at 5.5 on copper, I would definitely buy handily and play this up for the rest of the year. Copper is going to be super bullish this year. You can see like CopX, looking kind of ugly for the month, but this is a buying opportunity if it gets back down to 75. Even smaller stuff like TGB. TGB actually makes up a big part of CopX, so yeah, I would look for opportunities here, even like maybe back to 6.36, 6.3 or so, and you can play it back up to $10 and more. This is a recommendation on TGB that I put out a while ago. So if you're not in it, you can look for this opportunity on copper. Should be a very nice one. DPZ. I have not. I think I looked at this the other day because the chart was crazy looking. Yeah, here's Domino's. We can look at like Papa John's too. Papa John's had a lot of stores closed recently in the news. But yeah, it's kind of dropping out of the trend of this channel here. I haven't looked at this in a very long time. I drew this out a very long time ago. I might need to re-look. Actually, it looks pretty good. It's holding up pretty well. I think it's more of like a monthly view. Yeah, possibly breaking down on the channel here or on the weekly and monthly. When's the next earnings coming up? It's got dividends coming up, earnings in April. I don't know. I would never buy pizza as a stock. It's very expensive. I don't know what you want me to look at in terms of. You have shares or what? You got options on it? I would never play options on it. It moves so slow. We can talk about China stuff. I think China stuff will definitely outperform this year. We can see China took a big dip here. Like BABA dropped what? You know, with the tariff reignition here, dropped them out. Dropped about 28% so far. I'm kind of hoping for a little bit bigger drop here to 120. And this was a beautiful buying spot. I would buy here any day, right? Look at this in terms of the month. You can see this is the breakout, right? Create a little bit of an island, and now it can bounce back even higher. So, you know, China is always a good buy. I was also telling people, you know, besides, you know, the usual Queb, maybe I think PDD might be looking the best right now. So PDD is off this 98. As long as it's above 100 here, you could probably play it back up to 120. I think this one might be a good buy. The data centers for China is going. They put out notes about their infrastructure recently about how they're going to be pushing harder for their power grid as well, right? Not just in the U.S., for China as well. And that's going to affect data centers too because they need power. So GDS actually looks really good here. It's still in the breakout phase. It retested and put in a big candle on Friday. It does have earnings on the 16th, so that might be something to watch out for and play it after the 16th, where you can play it off this wedge and play it to the upside here. I would look at this more in the long term here, right? It's a monthly breakout. It's a monthly retest all the way down. So once you see it get to, you know, probably around this level or so, about $44 might be a safe spot to get in here. And this should be after earnings once it hits. Or maybe earnings pushes it back there. Who knows? But looks pretty good for it's pretty much the NBIS of China, if you want to look at it that way. TTF calls on SPY based on getting daily oversold. No, I would never play TTF on a long term like that. It's just because we can stay oversold, overbought way too long. And we need to play really far out in order to do that. CVNA. Freaking Carvana. Carvana, yeah, looks like it's getting back to the breakout area again, about 300. You can play this if you want. So I've always stayed away from Carvana just because I don't like their model. But back in 2024, I was saying this is going to be one of the best stocks for 2025, and I just did not play it. This was like way back in March of last year. Like way back here. Like you can see I was starting to draw stuff out back then just to look for this break here. And I mean, this was just gross. Kind of regret not playing it, but it's just such a scammy company. I mean, those are the ones that make the most profit, right? But I would play it here at 300. It does have earnings coming up on the 30th here. You could probably take a starter if you want. And if it gets down to here, take an ad. And you just play the run up into earnings here. And then if you're up, maybe just leave like a contract or two for earnings if you want to gamble it. The Carvana, yeah, is good at what they do. Yeah, I think waiting a little bit would be the best. EWY I really like. I was so tempted to take a swing on a Friday on EWI. You can see like this is a liquidity level here. Right? Very clearly the breakout is here. It breaks all the way up, thanks to Samsung, SK Hynix, and then now it's retesting. I really, really wanted to take a swing here just because like memory is not going to get any cheaper. Right? That is the big bottleneck for data centers besides power. So this is a good spot to get in here. I think I'm probably not too late. Maybe I'll take it on Monday. If this kind of hangs around here, I'm going to take it here and play it up. I don't think it has any room to go lower. I mean, these are just nothing but more and more expensive. So, I mean, can you imagine how much our phones are going to cost now? Whenever this price really does increase more, because right now we're paying like what, $1,000 for a phone, if not like $1,400. Think how much it's going to cost now. Now that memory and small pieces of memory are increasing in price. Nvidia has actually held up pretty well. Ignore this up arrow. It was a while ago here when I thought it would break all the way to 200 again. This is just a very tough spot. Nvidia just kind of dies at 190. It has a really tough time staying above 200. Last time it was above 200 was just because of like an earnings boost. So we're stuck at the lower level once again. So really anything around 173, 170. These are good spots to buy here, I think. I would play some long dated contracts. Really, I would wait if you're going to buy options on these. Probably wait till, April, May to buy into Nvidia. See what it drops out to. It shouldn't drop out too much later on, but it's just a better buying opportunity down here, especially if you want to take like leaps, because leaps are always fun on Nvidia. They just take forever to move sometimes. To get that really good solid move where everyone's like, hey, I love AI again, let's buy here, and then we can play it back to 200. You didn't think with the amount of margin on the market that we start to see a margin unwind if we keep going down? Actually, everyone's positioned short on the market right now. If anything, we can get a squeeze. The short reports are all reporting that everybody is shorting at the moment. So if this breakdown is not confirmed, we're just going to pop right back up into the range. So it kind of depends on what happens this week. I'm expecting some downside Monday, Tuesday, and then maybe a retest Wednesday, Thursday maybe. But we'll see how it plays out here on this downside. It's kind of hard to tell. It's really hard to give you any direction on the market. I'm just more on the downside now because we've broken down. But it took a lot for us to get down there. Like we have the war hanging over our head, the tariff issues, the SCOTUS decision. We have so much things hanging over the head. We also have to talk about the Fed and how things are really changing. So if you go back to like the Fed website and take a look, let me get that pulled back up. So most recently, Fed Bowman, which put out a paper recently on the 3rd, that was just like Tuesday, I believe. Basically, she was saying there's an issue with the current bank liquidity rules. It's basically saying that banks are hoarding too much cash and they should be lending it out. And this is just due to the rules with banking, where they have something called a liquidity coverage ratio and a net stable funding ratio, where they have to keep a certain ratio of cash to cover withdrawals. And what they're planning on doing is loosening these rules in order for the banks to lend out more money to push the whole economy more. And that is all just very dovish for the whole economy, right? That's going to push more spending, more loans, more businesses. It's supposed to help everybody. So that's a positive note for the economy. But on the other hand, all the feds are kind of turning more to doing nothing. So we're supposed to get 2 rate cuts this year. And if you look at Polymarket, it's starting to show that. Actually, I haven't looked at the most recent one. Let's look at Polymarket real quick. Like, how many rate cuts are we supposed to get in 2026? It says 1 is being priced in right now almost. So 1 cut, about 30%. 2 is for 27%. You know, this was at like 50% at one point that we were get 55 or 60 to get 2 cuts. So things are changing right now where the Fed's saying certain things to kind of point to that we're not going to cut as much as we think. And Trump wants us to cut, and we know Warsh is his puppet to do whatever he wants, but he is still just one vote. He has to convince everybody else that we need cuts as we have inflation kind of pushing back up. CPI on Wednesday is going to tell us a lot on what we should expect, but from all the feds, they're all saying that, you know, we should probably hang back, wait to see what inflation is doing, wait to see what's happening in Iran before we do anything. And for the most part, that's causing us to lose percentages to price in rate cuts. And with the day trading, IWM we've seen has been the leader so far. You can see, yes, we're in a range just like SPY and Qs, starting from January here, right? So here's the range, and we've been in this, but it's been holding up the best until recently. It's dropped the most now because it's lost the leadership. And when we look at day trading, we're looking at the leaders in the index to kind of point us in what direction the market's going. So here, IWM's losing it, and it's going to drop down to like 245 mainly. So something to keep an eye on. Q has led us on Friday, but IWM losing leadership is due to the change in the Fed. If we're not getting as many rate cuts priced in, IWM will not be as strong, and it's supposed to be the main leader for the whole entire year. So we'll see what happens with that. We're going to need some comments by Warsh sometime too soon. Yeah, we need more consumer credit. All right, anything else you guys want to look at or talk about overall? By the way, with the new server, we are going live tomorrow on Monday. The new subscription bot's up. Just join us there if you want. I'll drop a link to it, to the server, mainly if you guys want to join. Anyone that's not already in the server, most of you guys are already in here. But we are going to go live with a new subscription. The trading does not deviate. We're still going to live trade, but it's just with a new group, our own little group. Anyone's open to join us, obviously. All right, any other questions? If not, we'll call this live and we'll head back. Now, this is new, day 1. Starting fresh, removing the noise. The subscription works now. You can just go in Gen Chat and just type /subscribe as well. That'll work. Let's look at one more. AMKR. AMKR I really like just because of how linked they are to so many companies. All the major companies they provide packaging for. So yeah, they lost a pretty solid 45 level here. But this 39.40 spot is still pretty solid here. I would say, let's see, might be a good bounce spot in here. See if it pops back up. If not, maybe 37.50 at minimum would be a good spot. I would buy shares as this moves a bit slow. If you want to play structurally, I mean, it still looks pretty sound here structurally. Maybe around 37 or so. You can play it back up here. We either drop out or we see some positive news that pushes us back up here. So, I mean, if we're expecting a drop Monday, Tuesday, that'll put us there at about 37 or so. And then we can see if it bounces there. This is a great company, though. Yeah, it's a long-term buy. Huge partner with TSM and all the rest of the packaging for everybody else. Almost daily oversold. Let's take a look at that. It's got quite a bit to go. It's about 7 points away if we look at just based on RSI. So yeah. And we can see the resurgence on software recently. Here's IGV. Looks like we caught a bottom here finally. About 80 or so. It was really tough to buy the dip on this thing, just of how gross the selling was. If you're going to buy software, I would say buy Crowd, buy Net. Net is nice here. Net can head back to 220 here pretty easily. This is like the main winner from the Claudebot stuff. Net, DocN, both of them provide these servers for these bots that run about as we sleep. So these would be the big winners. Crowd, we need some type of security in place. And look at this bounce off of 359. This was a nice area. Even this bounce off 400 is very nice. I played this last bounce off 400 here, and this, I forgot what it grabbed, but I think it got a good solid percent, maybe like 60-70% off the bounce from 400 up to like 430. So yeah, from 400, I was looking for this target on 455 or so. So that's what you should be looking for if you're playing Crowd here. Whole market sinking while software is doing well. What a turnaround, huh? Look at now. Look at now. That was crazy big. Even got a little pattern here of a double bottom. It's already hit its mark. Yeah, now it looks like it's coming back strong here. So if you bought the dip on it, you won. Pretty good here. It's a lot of this thing is like the software is so expensive already, so it's kind of hard to play these. Like CRM, Salesforce, doing okay, still resurging, not as strongly as more important stuff like Net, DocN, and Crowd. So Salesforce still doing okay, but it's not gonna recover as fast as the other stuff. Synopsis. Yeah, those things move quite fast. What was the ticker here? Is it SYS? SNPS. Yeah, very expensive names. Let's see. I don't really chart these out much. I don't like to chart stuff out that are already so expensive. Looks like it's on its way back up here. Is that what you're looking for? Like maybe like a long-term hold? Yeah, long-term, they're good stuff. I mean, they're proven companies with excellent earnings. That's why they're at this price, right? It's proven to be a good company. Another expensive company. Yeah, with a pullback, you can buy it here if you want to buy long term and hold. I would say there's better names to buy out there long term, as these are already very expensive. There's always something new coming up that can do well. So, not pretty good companies though. I would look at LRCX if I was buying something more expensive. Pretty close to daily oversold as well. 35. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen LRCX come down here. It's not till like April lows as the last time. So this would be a good name that I'd be looking to buy if you're looking to invest for the long term. But you need to wait a little bit more, maybe like 190, 190, maybe even like 170 would be possible for a good buy area. Yeah, with their monopoly they have going on. That's why those just infinite up, really. Long term share buys, I'm trying to find more stuff that can really blow up from say like, 20, $30. That's around the price I'm looking for stuff. I want it to be already somewhat stable. I don't really want to buy like $5 type stocks unless it's like copper. Copper miner is fine. I'll buy like a $5 copper miner. It's worth the risk on that one. But for long term stocks, mostly I look around 20 to about $40 range is what I'm looking for to invest in. And those are the ones I'm looking to turn around, like Hood last year, or even like Oklo. Got those around like $20 to $40, and those are the ones that have like tripled in price. Is what I'm looking for. Yeah, we don't know when to short oil though. We'll just know when it hits us. Honestly, there's no predicting when this short's gonna be ready for oil. You just have to be ready for it and jump in immediately. I'd probably look for like a Trump tweet. Last time Trump did short oil off of Truth Social, if you don't remember that, he literally called for a short on oil, and I caught that one. I don't think I played it out in the server, but I definitely played that one. It's too hard to tell when the actual short is, though. All right. Hopefully that covered most. For expectations next week, looking for a little bit more downside Monday at the very least. We'll see futures. Futures opens in about an hour and 10 minutes. We'll see how far we drop out. Honestly, this has been a very quiet news weekend. I was kind of waiting for. I wanted to do this stream yesterday, but really nothing happened. I was looking for some type of, escalation, attack. There was a little bit, but really not that much in the news to move anything. We'll see though on futures and Sunday night if anything happens, because they like to conclude and push the market back up on Mondays and the rest of the weekdays before they do more attacks on the weekend or something to really throw a stick in the wheel. So all right, so let's go ahead and close this out. I'll see y'all tomorrow if you're ready to stream. I'm looking to continue what I've always been doing in day trading with all this volatility. I'm putting a pause on swings for right now. I might jump into that EWY swing tomorrow though. That one looks good. Everything I just kind of want to stay away from right now. The flow has been bullish, but I don't really trust it right now. All right, see y'all tomorrow. Anybody new wants to join, feel free.